Thank you very much. Mrs. Alice Bakoni, first of all, congratulations for being in charge. My boss is a woman. And it has been always, but I don't know why I've always get a woman as a boss. My wife is my boss. And on most of my two previous commissioners are women, and my boss in the US was a woman, and my wife is a woman. So now, congratulations for the confirmation as the PS, permanent PS. I think it's very good and wonderful to have always women in charge. I would like, first of all, to salute all of you. This is the first time that the African Union will be speaking to this in this setup after 7 editions. That doesn't mean that the African Union was not involved in the industry at all. And I will show that by when I will be speaking about what the industry is and how it is actually really behaving in the continent. I have prepared a long research and speeches, and have many of my interns and staff making a lot of researches, and then I had to speak the last one after all people have spoken and said what I have to say. So I have 2 choices. One is to repeat what they have said, which is actually becoming very boring for all of you, or then switch right away and just improvise. And this is what I'm going to do. I would like just to say that I concur what, no, before going to the substance itself, I would like again to salute one of the pioneer of the internet in Africa, KEYNOTE, and all the veterans with him. And when I call veterans, when I call them veterans, it doesn't mean that they are old people. I just say that they have been long in the industry. And I would like also to salute all the young, techie people, the hope of tomorrow, and the old ladies again in charge. Because this is the people that will really build the continent, and they will make it happen, whatever we will say, whatever we will do. And coming now to the substance, the VP of ICANN, Mr. Pierre Giangino, has mentioned the all infographics of the DNS market in Africa, including the fact that we represent only 1.3% of the DNS market, global DNS market. And Alex Corentin also concur with that by comparing our population, the number of states, African state members of UN, and the population and the number of DNS we do have. And specifically, Mohammed Job has been asking fundamental question about why the DNS, why the registry, why the register, that the numbers really matters. In fact, he mentioned something that we have been always addressing as an African Union Commission, of those who get free registry domain names and registrars and have foreign companies running their country codes and getting high numbers, 10,000 sometimes, etc., while in fact it is an empty boxes. Mohammed Job is not his first time to speak about this. We have asking him in 2010 to write a report on that, and he did. That's to tell you how far we have gone. Before DNS gets ready, we have been ready. We have been there as an African Union Commission talking about all these kind of things. In his first report, he has actually mentioned few things that has become for us a guiding principle on our involvement into the DNS industry. Following that, we have had as an African Union Commission in 2011, previously in 2010, the head of state declared that we need to develop the country codes and start using our domain name, and that led to the project, what we call now the .Africa, which is actually has been established successfully by African Union through the South African operators at ACR. And we'll talk about that later. In 2011, we had a roundtable following a contribution from the community. We had a roundtable at ICANN Dakar, and I had the honor with my commissioner to present the Africa strategy coming from outside will be end up dominated forever, will be ended back to recolonize it again, and hence will not be able really to express ourselves as an African, as a full member, surviving and contributing to the economic, digital economy into the internet space. We need to address that. The African Union has come up with 5 elements, strategic axes, to address the issue of really building the DNS industry. First of all, we must continue to develop our local internet infrastructure while improving the management of our internet critical resources, emphasizing our national capabilities. It has been proven by several initiatives and our startups. We recently have listed just by inviting in 1 month some startups in Africa to come to apply for a specific activities. In 1 month, we received 3,000 applicants from startups in Africa. That in 1 month. So later on, we start counting, and we couldn't really define, but we have passed 5,000 startups in Africa that are really doing very well. The second axis was that we must educate our enterprise, small and medium enterprise, to use the internet and benefit out of it. And they should understand that internet is not only WhatsApp, Instagram, and Facebook. Internet is something else. We must introduce an effective policy and regulation among registered registrars and local ISPs. In fact, most of our countries don't even thinking about any policy or regulation related to internet service providers and or internet or registered registrars. It just comes like that, as if it is part of the business, and we just go. Third, we must, as Mohammed rightly said, we must make the domain name registration as simple and as fast as possible. Those countries who are putting a lot of barriers in registering and buying domain names and so on should simplify everything. And last, we must, as I said, increase our local content. You have certainly noted that I'm using the word we. Who are we? In fact, it's very important to know that the we is you, as the F starts, and we as a AU in a broad definition, which is our member state, the regional economic communities, our specialized institution, and so on. We must come together to make sure that we are putting our effort to build the African digital economies. We have to meet together and conjugate our effort to meet our AU vision set by our founding fathers, which is actually an integrated, prosperous, peaceful Africa driven by its own citizens and representing a dynamic force in the global arena. We have to come together because together we are stronger. We have to come together because we need to meet the aspiration of our people, which is the African identity in Renaissance, the struggle against neo-colonialism, neo-digital colonization, and specifically for the integration of our social economic development. We need to come up with one agenda. We don't have to go and implement somebody else's agenda. We need to make sure that we are doing our own things. This is why the head of states requested us for the digital transformation strategy, actually, I have mentioned. And the digital strategy is actually axed on one important thing, which is making the 21st century an African century. Second is accelerating the electrification of the whole continent and the digitalization of all socio-economic development sector. This strategy will set a common vision, which is shared value goals and principle of digital cooperation. The vision for the development of digital economy in Africa will be, and then I quote here, by 2030, all our people should be digitally empowered and to access safely and securely at least to 6 megabits per second all the time where they live in the continent at an affordable price of no more than 1 cent per megabit through a smart device manufactured in the continent at the price of no more than $100 to benefit from all basic e-services and content of which at least 30% is developed and hosted by African for Africans. This is the real vision that we are trying to implement and that the head of state will approve soon. In this is actually what I wanted to share with you. And before we split, and as they say in the young jargon, I would like to share with you an inspiration quote that we have paraphrased from JFK, since we are now talking about the moonshot, that We African have chosen to transform our continent with digitalization. We choose to complete this digitalization in this decade, not in the next century, because we've been talking about the digital industry in the 19th century and we haven't fully implemented that. So we have to implement this digitalization in this decade and do other things such as electrification and democratization, not because they are easy, but because they are hard, because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills, because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are willing to not to postpone, and one to want to win and to do other things too. Thank you very much.
That brings us to the end of the official opening ceremony. And once again, I would like to apologize to the AU Commission for that protocol mistake that happened. In my language, there is a saying that it simply means that the one who eats last is chief. We also use it sometimes to make sure that you don't have anything to say. We speak before you. But let me allow my panel to step down and say that you are all invited for a tea break, coffee break, and as we exit the building, there are 3 doors to the side, but I would really ask you to allow